What do you got? All right, so we're talking about, E for elimination, and then time wasters, time consumers, and empowerment failures. So we went through the whole conversation. John, hi, is this Jane? This is Jane. We went through that whole thing yesterday. Now we're on to the third step, is to master the art of refusal and avoiding meetings. The first day our new sales VP arrived at Trusan in 2001, he came into the all-company meeting and made an announcement in just about this many words. I am not here to make friends. I have been hired to build a sales team and sell product, and that's what I intend to do. Thanks. So much for small talk. Guy sounds like an asshole. You're dealing with people. Sales is a people. Sales is a contact sport. So, yeah, not a good start. I'm sure they weren't very motivated by that little speech. He proceeded to deliver on his promise. The office socializers disliked him for his no-nonsense approach to communication, but everyone respected his time. He wasn't rude without reason, but he was direct and kept the people around him focused. Okay, some didn't consider him charismatic, but no one considered him anything less than spectacularly effective. Well, there you go. So being a dick is effective sometimes, especially when you're managing people. There you go. I remember sitting down in his office for our first one-on-one meeting. Okay, so that's good. So he took them one by one and got their individual. That's a good technique. Fresh off 4 years of rigorous academic training, I immediately jumped into explaining the prospect profiles, elaborate planning I developed, responses to dates, and so forth and so on. I had spent at least 2 hours preparing to make this first impression a good one. He listened with a smile on his face for no more than 2 minutes, held up a hand. I stopped. He laughed in a kind-hearted manner and said, Tim, I don't want the story, just tell me what we need to do. Good answer. Over the following weeks, he trained me to recognize when I was unfocused or focused on the wrong things, which meant anything that didn't move the top 2 or 3 clients one step closer to signing a purchase order. Results, man. Our meetings were now no more than 5 minutes long. From this moment forward, resolve to keep those around you focused and avoid all meetings, whether in person or remote, that do not have clear objectives. It is possible to do this tactfully, but expect that some time wasters will be offended the first few times their advances are rejected. Once it's clear that remaining on task is your policy and not subject to change, they will accept it and move on with life. Hard feelings pass. Don't suffer fools or you'll become one. Boom, right? There's a little nugget. It is your job to train those around you to be effective and efficient. No one else will do it for you. Here are a few recommendations. Decide that, given the non-urgent nature of most issues, you will still steer people toward the following means of communication in order of preference. Email, number 1, then phone, and then an in-person meeting. And, that's also how much time each of those takes up, right? If someone proposes a meeting, request an email instead, and then use the phone as your fallback offer if need be. Cite other immediately pending work tasks as the reason. 2, respond to voicemail via email whenever possible. This trains people to be concise. Help them develop the habit. Similar to our opening greeting on the phone, email communication should be streamlined to prevent needless back and forth. Thus, an email with, can you meet me at 4 p.m. would become, can you meet at 4 p.m. Can you meet at 4 p.m. would become, can you meet at 4 p.m. ? Oh, if so, ... If not, please advise 3 other times that work for you to get an answer if 4 p.m. is not good. Okay. This if-then structure becomes more important as you check email less often. Since I only check email once a week, it is critical that no one needs a what if answered or other information within 7 days of a given email I send. If I suspect that a manufacturing order hasn't arrived at the shipping facility, for example, I'll send an email to my shipping facility manager along these lines. Dear Susan, ... Has the new manufacturing shipment arrived? If so, please advise me on ... If not, please contact John Doe at 555-555 or via email at john@doe.com. He is also CC'd on the email, John Doe, and advise on delivery date and tracking. John, if there are any issues with the shipment, please coordinate with Susan, reachable at 555-444, who has the authority to make decisions up to $500 on my behalf. In case of emergency, call me on my cell phone, but I trust you too. Thanks. This prevents most follow-up questions, avoids two separate dialogues, takes me out of the problem-solving equation. He has the two people he's delegated to work it out directly. He doesn't need to be in the middle, although they would both probably prefer that, right? So he's Susan's customer, and he's John Doe's customer. So both of those people want to put him in the middle because he's the one they have the business relationship. But it's more effective and efficient for his business to get out of the way and let those two solve the problem, right? Because it is their problem. John hasn't shipped the goods for some reason, and he needs to let Susan know that and coordinate with her when it's coming. There's really nothing Tim can do in that case. He's just the owner of the company. So it's a very strong example of when delegating makes tons of sense and is gold and frees up your time, which is the whole point of the book. Get into the habit of considering what if-then actions can be proposed in any emails when you ask a question. So you're not just asking a question, you're saying, if the answer to the question is A, then do this. If the answer to the question is B, then do this. So that's really strong. He's giving them directions. He's managing them. He's being a manager through emails, which is time-saving and smart. Meetings should only be held to make decisions about a predefined situation, not to define the problem. If someone proposes that you meet with them or set a time to talk on the phone, ask that person to send you an email with an agenda to define the purpose. I.e., that sounds doable, so I can best prepare. Can you please send me an email with an agenda? That is, the topics and questions we'll need to address. That would be great. Thanks in advance. Once again, focusing other people because they lack focus. And before you read these tools, you lacked focus too. I did. I lacked focus most of my professional career. Don't give them a chance to bail out. The thanks in advance before a retort increases your chances of getting the email. The email medium forces people to define the desired outcome of a meeting or call. 9 times out of 10, a meeting is unnecessary. You can answer the question once defined via email. Impose this habit on others. I haven't had an in-person meeting for my business in more than 5 years, and I have fewer than a dozen conference calls, all lasting less than 30 minutes. There you go. Speaking of 30 minutes, if you absolutely cannot stop a meeting or call from happening, define the end time. Do not leave these discussions open-ended and keep them short. If things are well-defined, decisions should not take more than 30 minutes. Cite other commitments at odd times to make them more believable, 3:20 versus 3:30, and force people to focus instead of socializing, commiserating, and digressing. If you must join a meeting that is scheduled to last a long time or that is open-ended, inform the organizer that you would like permission to cover your portion first, as you have a commitment in 15 minutes. If you have to, feign an urgent phone call. Get the hell out of there and have someone else update you later. The other option is to be completely transparent and voice your opinion on how unnecessary the meeting is. If you choose this route, be prepared to face fire and offer alternatives. We're at 9. Let me see if I can. No, there's way more. He goes on to 5, 6. There's a bunch. Yeah, there's way more pages on this same topic, so I'll end at 9 instead of going 15 or 20. Once again, he promised you in the beginning of the book lots of nuts and bolts and how to, and he's given it to us. He's literally doing step by step on how to take control of your time by training those around you, and that includes your boss. And that sounds weird to train your boss, but that person is probably demanding the most of your time and demanding you be at a certain place at a certain time because that's what they're used to. Hey, we're paying you for 40 hours a week. You best be here 40 hours a week. And if that means for sitting in a stupid meeting for 4 hours, which I've done in corporate America, And when I was really gung-ho and self-motivated and wanted to get my work done, it pissed me off because every hour in the meeting I was losing an hour of work time. Later on, when I was a little bit burnt out, I appreciated the meetings because it was time to goof off and chill out and not actually have to work. And I was still being paid, so I was fine with it. So that all depends upon your attitude, whether you like those meetings or not. But yeah, I've been in many time-wasting meetings, and Fortune 500 companies thrive on those, and they live on those. And like I said, bagels, donuts, whatever, they usually bring in snacks, cookies. And if you're a fat guy like me or a fat girl, you love sweets. So that all makes it good, right? But as far as being productive and reaching your goal, none of it's good. It really is a time waster. He's 100% correct. So now you're starting to see the laser focus that's required to pull this stuff off. And some of you, at some point, I think, are probably going to drop out because you're not willing to do what it takes. I get it. I understand. I'm naturally lazy, and I had to overcome that, to reach my goals. So, all right, guys, that's it for today. Try to keep it as short as possible while still putting out a lot of information, and we definitely did that today.